Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. It's Tracy here at TierraCast, and I'm just going to check things to make sure everything's streaming properly. You know how it goes. We want to make sure that I can see you guys and that stream is also muted. And my computer's being a tiny bit glitchy today and freezing here and there. So streaming properly. You know how the sound's working. You want to make sure that I can see. Okay. I could see that it was going live and then the screen froze, so I couldn't mute it, but we're good, I think. Always the challenges. So happy Tuesday to you. I am happy to be here and have what I think is a really pretty demo for you today. Usually when I go live, I have the my work surface showing, but I fouled up and didn't do that. So all you could see was me waiting for things to get going. So I'm switching my camera real quick so you guys can see what we're doing. These are what I call the falling leaves earrings. And my original design used some beautiful enameled hoops from Anne Gardan. And those were original. I think I started putting these together a year or two ago, and I never quite finished them until this fall. And then once I got them together, I was like, of course, how can I make these with a TierraCast component variation? So I started playing with our Dulce Vita Crescent Links. Hold on, let me switch over here so I can see. Hi, Geeta, how are you? So our Dulce Vita Flora Crescent Links. And as usual, hopefully I put a description in the live so that there's a link. Things have been working a little funky these days with Zoom and the lives, where I think that I've done something and then it doesn't show up in the actual video. So you know what, maybe I will just put that link in again. Give me a second to pull it up. Give you guys the link again so that you can see the entire part list. You can download the project sheet. You can see the part list and all the part numbers. Now, the numbers, if you're a retail shopper, the numbers probably won't help you. But the name of the part will, because you can you know, do your online shopping or your bead store shopping. Hold on, still trying to find that link for you. You can do your online shopping or bead store shopping. You know, if you have the name of the part, that makes it a little bit easier. Wow, and things are just super glitchy this morning, guys. So my apologies if things are just a little bit slow. I don't know if it's my laptop or the internet. My laptop is just wanting to be completely unresponsive to my demands. And you know, that's frustrating. So I will pull that link up when I can get to our website and do that for you. Just not cooperating right now. So the little leaf charms, we have a variety of leaf charms. These ones are our birch leaf charms. They're just they're a sweet little shape. They're a little bit, they're very nicely contoured. So they have a curve, and a convex curve on one side, a little bit concave on the other. So they have a really nice shape. I do have some other parts over here that, oh, Geeta, yeah, something's happening with the website. We can't get onto it. So it's not just me. That's good to know. But hopefully they're on that in the back and we'll get things fixed up. So I will post a link for you guys when I can. So yes, this sweet little birch leaf charm. I also pulled out some other things that we'll play with after, you know, to see about some variations. And this is our ivy, no, not ivy leaf. What charm is this? Let me look. Yes, it is our ivy leaf charm. Again, really just beautiful detail, really nice shaping on those. Both of these little leaf charms go way back in the TierraCast lineup. So we've had them in our inventory for a long time. Hello, Motorcrafts. If you tell us your actual name, we can call you by that. You're always here. It's nice to see you. And then I've got some niobium ear wires with some copper. They're gray niobium with some copper beads on them. And I've got some 22 gauge wire. Now, I didn't have any copper in 22 gauge, but I do have this rose gold. So I think for the demo, I'm going to use, let's get my ratty sweater sleeves out of the way. I think I'm going to use the pewter finish, and I think I'll just use the brass wire. So I'm using 22 gauge, and I need about a 10-inch piece. And I'm going to measure because I'm going to be a good girl. Hi, Emily. So I will try to remember that. So then when I see you, I can actually say, hi, Emily. So thank you for sharing with us. I do want 10 inches. I'm actually going to measure because you guys know I sabotage myself by cutting myself too short pieces a lot. So the first thing that I want to do once I have that 10-inch piece of wire cut is grab some round nose pliers and just make a loop at the center. And I'm working kind of back on the plier jaws because I want the loop to be roomy, but not huge. That's looking a little big, so maybe a little smaller than that. And then I'm gonna just straighten one of those. I think I'll use the chain nose pliers to do that so I get a nice clean bend. And then I'm just going to wrap one of the tails around a couple of times. It doesn't have to be neat. It just needs to hold. And then I'm going to bend that straight up again and kind of make a big old V with those two bits. And then I'm going to take my link. And these little links do have 3 holes. They have a link up in each of these, up at the top of the crescent, and then links down at the bottom. We're just going to ignore the link. I'm going to, oh, the website's back up. That was quick. Thanks, Geeta. And she posted a link to that project for us. So she's the bomb. She's a very valuable person. She comes in and watches, and she's always helpful with links and whatnot. So tucked that wire up around the bottom of the crescent link, and then I'm just going to take one of the tails and start wrapping that around. And I want to pinch it down as I'm going, and also I want to make certain that I keep it at the center because it will want to slide around to the outside of the it'll want to slide around the curve. So I'm wrapping and I'm kind of pinching as I'm going, and I'm also, this can be where you can decide if you want this to be a very tidy wrap or a very messy wrap. So I'm going kind of tidy, it looks like today, and we can also make some adjustments to that with some pliers afterwards if we want to give it a little more texture. So I've got that first tail wrapped, and I'm kind of pinching it down as I was saying in the back. I want it twice because I want a total of 5 wraps. And that is also where you could make variation. If you wanted it to be more wraps, you could just keep going. You would want to definitely give yourself more wire to start with if you do that. 10 inches is enough for the 5 wraps across the front. So again, I'm making sure that this is centered. And I took that tail and I just wrapped it around the wrapped loop there a couple times, and then I can trim that off. And then I will take the other side and come down once, back up in the back, pinching it down, come down again, And that gives me my 5 wraps. So I'm just tucking them all close together. And I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and straighten this loop because I want it hanging in line with the link. And then I'm going to take this tail and start wrapping it around here. And this can be, again, kind of as messy or as tidy as you want it to be. I like, with this particular design, I kind of like it a little bit messy because it's a little bit of a rustic design, you know. And then I can trim that off in the back. And there's my wrap in the front. Now, I could, at this point, if I decided I wanted some texture, I can go in there with chain nose pliers and just kind of get a grip on some of those wires and just twist them a little bit or bend them a little bit. Just to give it some visual interest. That's what I did with some of the other. I've done, you know, in the process of writing instructions, I end up doing several, I end up with several earrings because I keep going through the process and refining it and going, okay, how do I do that? And I'll take step-by-step pictures, etc. So I always end up with a few different versions. So yeah, I'm just going in with the pliers and kind of giving that wire a little bit of visual interest. And beyond that, that's done. That's all we need to do for that. So the next step is to take our craft wire again and cut about I think about 1.5 inches is what my instructions say. I better double check. I'm just going to make a loop. It's going to be secured. Sorry, finding that 1.5 inches. It's going to be secured with just simple loops at the sides. You could do this with wrapped loops if you wanted, but 1.5 inches is just enough for a simple loop kind of finish. And then I'm going to take I'm going to use a Sharpie as a mandrel, and I'm just going to make a little curve. I'm going to make a curve about halfway, like so. And then, hello, Leslie Pope from sunny Philadelphia. How are you? And hi, Carrie. And hi, Michelle. Sorry, taking a moment to look at the, Gretchen, yeah. I mean, these look like they're heavy, but they're not. So that 22 gauge wire will hold its shape. You could, if you wanted, use a half hard wire. And you could also work hard in this a little bit. So then after I've got my little bend made, I want to bend this about 1/2 inch. My instructions say 1/2 inch. So, okay, I'll measure. Just going to bend that up like that. And again, on the other side. And then I'm going to take these and start some simple loops where I bent them up. So I've got, looks kind of like that. I've got my little curve that's going to go at the top of the earring, and then I've got what's beginning simple loops, and then I'm just going to thread those wire ends through the loops of my crescent link, and then I can just kind of push those loops to complete them and trim those off. Oh, that's nice, Leslie. Hi, Patty. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Chris. Leslie says that my demos are great timing for her, that they're on her lunch break. So that's nice, Leslie. Glad to hear that. And I saw Leslie posted a picture a little bit ago of some cookies she made, and they looked really delicious, Leslie. I was going to comment and go, I want some. Whatever they were, they looked pretty good. So you saw that I just finished my loops and trimmed them and kind of straightened everything up. And again, you could do that with a wrapped loop. You could do that finish with a wrapped loop. And now I'm just kind of straightening again. You could do a finish with a wrapped loop, or you could make this, this little arch here smaller. It doesn't have to be this tall. That's kind of your call when you're making the design. But that's how easy that is. And you also could just form a curve and do a simple loop on one side and attach it, and then make a simple loop on the other side. But what I found, and try to attach it, but what I found is that it was just kind of a funky process to try and get everything twisted so that I could get the other simple loop through the second hole. So that's why I started doing my kind of interesting make the loops at the same time little process. It just worked a little bit better for me. All right, so now I've got some, that chain's not going to work. I've got some different little segments of chain here. I think in the original ones, I used the brass ox and I used the silver finish chain. So I'm just going to switch that up. I'm going to, since I'm making this with the pewter finish, I'm going to use the brass chain because this is all about mixed metals. I like that the mixed metals. Oh, Sharon is saying my mat's too messy. I need to move some stuff out of the way. Too much visual clutter. So let's just move some stuff off to the side. Also, that's the copper chain. Let's use the brass. So this is about an 8 by 6 inch chain link. So I want 3 segments of that. I mean, I want 3 links, if that makes sense. How heavy is the final piece? It's not very. It's surprisingly light, Sally. So I've opened one link of that little piece of chain and I just attached it to my loop. And now I need some jump rings. And I think I was starting to talk about the mixed metal. Just how that feels so like it represents fall leaves so nicely for me. I've got some of our smallest little oval jump rings. And I'm going to take 3 of these little birch charms, and this is where you decide which one you want where. I'm just going to hang the copper one at the top, and I'm using the small jump ring to hang that from the loop of the wire. And then I will use the jump rings to attach the remaining charms along the little piece of chain here. And I got jump rings that are a little bit attached to each other. If I could get them to let go. There, get one by itself. And then that one is just going to go on the very last link. Yeah, agreed, Sally. Hi, Landa. And so now all my little charms are attached. And the last thing I need to do is just take a, I've got our niobium ear wires with the little copper balls on them, little embellishments. And that is that. for the earring. So pretty easy. Sharon, this is not a kit. It is a project on our website. You can ask, oh, where did I get the plastic container? I love these, Emily. These are, there's some different manufacturers. I think Beadsmith, Helby Beadsmith might have them, and Beadalon makes them. So I have all of my jump rings like in these, and they're really, really nice. I have a whole stack of all my different colors of jump rings. So that is, there's the, well, I was going to say here's the original version, but this is the original version. And then the brass, and then the one we just made today. I do like it. I really would have loved to do this with the copper wire. It's too bad I didn't have any, but that's okay. So we have some other components that I thought it might be fun to try, just seeing what it would look like to try this, this design. So I've got this wonderful big component is actually one of our clasp rings. It is what we call our Artisan Clasp. So if you wanted to look that up on the website, it's called our Artisan Clasp. And I thought that it might make a really nice focal for this. And I've actually used this clasp ring for focals and other designs. I don't know if there's anything on the website currently, but I've used it before just because it's so beautiful. Obviously, it's a different, it's a slightly different thing. It's wider at the top than it is at the bottom, but I still think it could make a cute variation. So, and we don't have to do the whole wire wrapping thing because there's a loop at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and try one using this. And I think again that I want to use the brass wire. Maybe not, maybe silver. And we won't need as much because this is such a small little bit. So I think probably, I don't know, 7 inches is probably enough. Yeah, Chris, our niobium is great. They are hypoallergenic, and it's fun that we can change the colors of the niobium. The colors can be changed either by a chemical, like an electrical process, or by a chemical process. We do it 2 different ways to get different colors of the niobium ear wires. So we have them in a gray, we have them in copper, we have them in brass, and we have them in black. So again, I just made a loop, and then I wrapped I bent one of the wires up and wrapped the other one around it. And then I'm just gonna kind of thread. This one might be a little trickier because it's not open at the top. We got to wrap it through the ring of the component. Again, I'm just going to wrap it around a few times. Yes, Emily is saying that, yeah, this circle is a little bit more glam than boho. So maybe in theory I should be keeping my wraps neater, but I don't know, nice mix. Emily, yeah, the toggle rings can make really fun focal components for different things. I've seen people do seed beading around them. I left myself with a tiny bit of a short end here for securing this, but I think I can bring it around and get it wrapped. It just needs to go around once. You could also use different gauges of wire for this. It doesn't have to be the 22. I wanted 22 because I wanted it to have a little bit of visual weight. 20 would have been too heavy. 24 might work well though. So I got that wrapped a few times around. Going to repeat that on the other side. I did wrap it a little bit more. I wrapped it like 4 times or 5. I wasn't counting. So you want to think about that as you're wrapping. How much initial length you're going to need, because you need to account for how many times you're going to go around, and then your wrap here at the end to finish it. So I probably could have given myself a little more, because I decided to go around more times and et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's always an experiment, but I think it's good. Got it wrapped. Looks nice. I think I'm going to use some copper, a little piece of copper wire for this one. Our chain is brass, so it is nice and sturdy, but you know, you can open it with your fingers, but you know you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to use 2 pair of chain nose pliers. Let's see, what color jump rings? We're kind of getting very mixed with this one. So I'll use the silver ones again. And I'm fishing through them until I can get ones that are not tangled together. So gonna attach one. Whoops, lost a jump ring. Gonna attach one up at the very top to the wire loop. I could just attach them to the chain, I guess, but when I first did the design, I started at the wire loop, so just gonna continue that. And then the last one at the bottom. So I think that looks lovely. I like this. It's just a slightly maybe dressier version with these artisan rings. I think that looks pretty good. All right, there is one last thing I wanted to try. I wanted to try, I initially considered trying this one, but I don't think it'll have the same feel. But I thought it might be fun to use a gemstone donut and make a pendant. So let's see. Because that could be a really, really, you know, for someone who doesn't like to wear big earrings, the pendant could be a way to modify this technique and this general idea to work for the holiday. I'm looking for, oh, look what I found finally, guys. Copper 22 gauge wire. Oh, well, too late. I guess I'll stick with the brass, but I do think because this, I don't know, just because it's a smaller hole, I'm going to try a 24 gauge wire instead. And I'm going to give myself plenty, like about 15 inches. But I want to try the 24 gauge instead, I think, just because it'll make it easier to wrap through that loop. So again, I'm just wrapping, making a loop. Very crooked loop, apparently. And wrap one of those around the other, whoops, the other way. And then tuck, this is an experiment, guys. I did not test this one before, so I hope it's gonna work. I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't. I just didn't test it before. So I wanted to give myself plenty of wire so that I could really wrap this generously. And again, I'm kind of pinching it down in the back as I go, front and back actually. Before I wrap that, I'm just going to go ahead and start coming from the other direction too. I think with the pendant too, you could probably, one more, you could probably add more leaves, you know. It's a little bit bigger, it's going to be a pendant, not so worried about the weight since it's going to be, you know, around your neck instead of on your ears. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little sensitive to a lot of heavy earrings. I don't generally wear very big earrings. These, we were talking, it's come up a couple times about how heavy these are, and they are so light that I've been wearing these. I've been swapping them out with these ones for the whole, since we were through Halloween and moved on to fall and Thanksgiving stuff. I've been wearing these ones, and they're not heavy because generally I don't tolerate really heavy earrings very well. So I've got plenty of wire wrapped there. It's nice and messy. Trim off the back. My work mat's getting a little messy again, so let me tidy it. And then I think since I've got a silver pinch bail for this, and I actually didn't test this one to see if it's big enough to fit on this donut. It is, yay. This is our spiral pinch bail. If you wanted to go look for that on our website, that's what you would look up. So because I used a silver pinch bail, I'm going to use some of the silver chain. And again, I could go with a longer segment of chain, and I could add more leaves and more stuff to really make this an interesting pendant. For now, I'm just going to stick with the pattern that we've been doing. I'm going to put that silver one at the bottom, so it kind of balances out that silver pinch bail. I'll put the gold one up here at the top, I guess. And put the copper one in between. And these ivy leaf leaf charms are just a little bit bigger than the birch leaf, so I think they'll work good with this gemstone donut pendant. I like it. So again, we could just we could add a few more on there, and that would actually make it very interesting. And I could even see a little bit of ribbon. If you were to use a ribbon as your necklace, I could see a little bit coming off the bottom there as a tassel too. I think that could be good. So yeah, fun. Wanted to show you guys some variations because I do like to do that. Like to present an idea as just that, and an idea. And it looks like my my second camera kind of blinked out there for a minute, guys. Sorry, but it looks like it was only momentary, so it's back. So I think that's all. Again, you guys can pull this project up on the website and download it, and that'll give you, you know, the general how-to and then you can have fun with it and do all kinds of other stuff if you wanted. So that would be a cool, very pretty pendant for the holiday. I can't seem to get it hanging straight, but I think it could work. Nice. All right. Thank you, you guys. Next week is Thanksgiving, and I'm not quite sure. We'll be here. I'll be here. I'll do something, but I don't know what. Since we're doing Tuesdays, the holiday shouldn't affect us. It will be a short week for us, so that's nice. But stay tuned, and I'll figure out what the demo will be for next week. And thank you for joining me. It's always great to see the people who come and join me every week. You know, it's like a little beating party, and I do enjoy seeing the familiar names and the chatter between everybody. So thank you. Be well. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.